If you subject yourself to the painful conversation between sports fans, especially on dumps like Reddit, where the average fan has an IQ the size of a flea on an elephant's ass, if you subject yourself to these useless conversations, you will often hear fans demanding that their favorite team tank. Translation: fans want their team to lose intentionally in order to get a better draft pick. Right now, there are a lot of Mavs fans that want the Mavs to tank, which is not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because, well, for starters, as an organization, you don't want to develop a losing culture in Cooper Flagg's rookie season. But the main reason the Mavs are not going to tank: players don't tank. Players do not lose intentionally. It's the dumbest concept imaginable. I was talking to one of my friends about this yesterday at lunch. He owns his own business. I own both of my YouTube channels. I said, "How many days this year did you go into your office and tell your team to intentionally produce drizzling shits? How many days did you tell your team while they're cleaning houses, go ahead and leave that turd in the toilet? Don't vacuum the floor. Don't dust the ceiling fans." You would never do that because your livelihood depends on your reputation. I would never give you guys less than 100% on YouTube because my ability to draw an audience depends on me giving maximum effort every single day. Take that level of dedication, multiply it times 1,000, and that's what it takes to play in the NFL or the NBA. These dudes work their entire lives to get to this level. In the NFL, you're basically playing for your job every game. In the NBA, there is no such thing as garbage time. I don't care if there are 5 G League players on the court. Those 5 dudes are busting their ass because they are playing for a spot in the league. From a player's perspective, there is no such thing as tanking. There is no such thing as losing intentionally. And this point was brilliantly proven yesterday by Maxx Crosby. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. Yesterday, Maxx Crosby stormed out of the Raiders facility in Las Vegas. Hell, if I was Maxx Crosby, I would storm out and never return. I feel sorry for this dude. Maxx Crosby is one of the best defensive ends in the league, and he is wasting his NFL career playing for this dump of a franchise. If it weren't for Gail Benson and the New Orleans Pelicans, maybe the Cleveland Browns, the Raiders would easily be the worst franchise in sports. Supposedly, the Raiders are shutting down Maxx Crosby for the final 2 games of the season so he can recover from injury. Translation: the Raiders are intentionally losing. Naturally, Maxx Crosby was pissed because he wants to play. You only get so many games in your NFL career, and the Raiders are taking away 2 opportunities for Maxx Crosby to play. Not to mention the fact that the Raiders don't have to tank to lose. This team has been losing for decades while trying to win. The Raiders don't have to lose on purpose. They're going to lose either way. You know, there are some situations where I think players, I don't want to say they lose intentionally, but there are some situations where I think players refuse to give maximum effort. For example, if the majority of the team doesn't like or respect the head coach. Last year, you could tell that the Saints were not giving maximum effort. And who could blame them? They were playing for Dennis Allen, the worst head coach in the history of the league. But for the most part, players are not going to tank. If they're playing, they are playing to win. During the first Or maybe it was the second episode of The Last Dance. It was Michael Jordan's second season in the NBA. He had missed most of the season with injury. He comes back late in the season, and the Bulls are fighting for the final spot in the playoffs. The two Jerrys, Jerry Reisdorf and Jerry Krause, the owner and general manager, they wanted to shut Michael Jordan down for the season. From their perspective, they didn't want to risk the future. They didn't want to risk their financial investment in Michael Jordan when they knew they had no chance of competing for a championship. Plus, they wanted a better draft pick. Long story short, Michael Jordan demanded to play. Initially, they put him on a minutes restriction. Final game of the season, I think they were playing the Pacers. They had to win to make the playoffs. Last minute, in a close game, they threatened to fire the head coach if he doesn't pull Michael Jordan out of the game. Bulls won anyway, got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by the Celtics. But the relationship between Michael Jordan and management, ownership, it was forever tarnished. He never forgot. He never let it go. He's busting his ass on the court. He's doing everything he can to win. And the suits upstairs, they're worried about the future and some doofus draft pick. The point is, players do not tank. And when organizations intentionally tank, you risk destroying the relationship with your star players. You're basically telling Maxx Crosby, we're not worried about this season. We're not even worried about your career. We are focused on some unknown draft pick to be named later. Look, part of me understands it. Part of me understands why you don't want Maxx Crosby risking long-term injury in a meaningless game. I understand why you want to preserve your position in the draft. But the problem with tanking, once you develop a losing culture, it is incredibly difficult to get rid of it. Look at teams in the NFL and the NBA who traditionally tank. The Raiders, the Browns, the Charlotte Hornets, the Sixers, the Utah Jazz. You know what they have in common? Tanking has developed into long-term losing. But KC, the Sixers are great! They're going to make the playoffs! The Sixers wasted years tanking for years of mediocrity. They're the success story. Mediocrity. These other teams that tank, they spent years trying not to be flushed down the pooper. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.